Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Adventure Starts Here podcast. This week, we played the hit breakout style roguelike by Kenny Sun, Ball X Pit. Please be aware this is a full spoiler discussion. While this game doesn't have much in the way of narrative, we discuss gameplay mechanics in depth. With that out of the way, enjoy the episode. All right, for this week, we played Ball X Pit. I believe Thomas chose this game. If you want to give a quick intro.
Yeah, so historically I've enjoyed some of these like pick 3 games going back even to like Slay the Spire and shit, obviously. So there's a lot of buzz around this game. I didn't know much about it other than I thought the concept was interesting, which is like combining Vampire Survivors with like DX Ball breakout type shit. So I really knew next to nothing about it when I picked it, and some people made it. I don't know who, but I imagine humans were involved, so that's why I picked it.
Never know, it could have all been AI.
That is true. Not ruling that out in 2026.
Definitely, I'd love to hear your attempt because, and I guess for the context for the listeners is that the opening bit idea is deliver an elevator pitch of this game as if you were trying to convince Tim Sweeney to give you $100 million to develop it.
All right, Tim, look at me. Look at me, Tim. Picture this. Arkanoid and Vampire Survivors. They have an affair that would make the smuttiest of smut readers blush inside of a Vegas hotel room. 9 months later, the kid pops out to pussy. But here's the twist. Mama Arkanoid and Papa Vampire Survivors fucked off and left the baby at the steps of the nunnery to be raised by who else other than civilization, who's been inhaling industrial grade sulfur hexafluoride. Physics, murder, juice, municipal zoning laws. This game doesn't make any fucking sense, but it's gonna make you $1 billion. That's my pitch.
Best I can give you
It's
is
a pretty good
$5.
pitch. Jordan is Tim Sweeney in this pitch setup.
Fuck you, Tim.
Russian judge. Okay. Listen, Tim, I know we've had our differences in the past. My team we've really like shot for the stars, I think, with a number of our different initiatives. And listen, I know that the last pitch that I gave you, Balls X Dick, was really popular. You didn't quite sign off on it, citing potential HR complaints, which I guess was fair. But we did a bit of rebranding. We changed it to Ball X Pit, and we removed all of the phallic imagery. So, with that being said, it's a pick 3 roguelike. So, give me your money. Well, I gotta say, it's been like nagging on my mind. Well, these two things nagging on my mind, and one is because Jordan said nothing in the channel, so we'll get to his opinions on this shit. But I really gotta ask, Thomas, idle game mechanics and pick 3 roguelikes. Did it work?
I wanted to like it, but it felt kind of too stapled on and inconsequential that ultimately it felt like it didn't the idea was good, the concept was sound, but like it was just so I don't know, it didn't really feel like it had a real material effect on any of like the outcomes or the grinds or anything like that, but I did like the idea.
It's kind of interesting because, like, on one hand, I expected you to love it because you're the idle game guy. But I guess on the other hand of that, that also means that you have a higher standard for what you would expect from it.
Yeah, because it didn't really feel like an idle game, like, and this might sound a little weird, but in my head it makes sense. But this didn't feel like an idle game so much as it was just like, hey, click this upgrade, and now you're gonna gain a little bit of wheat every few minutes. And is that like the strict definition of an idle game? Yes, but is that like the like enjoyment derived from an idle game? Not really.
Well, I thought that, like, personally, I'd like to hear the rest of your guys' opinions on it, but I felt like that was less of an idle mechanic than the character that just plays the game for you,
Yeah.
because there are all of the buildings that you get after every level that are like, you get crit chance or you get base damage for every character that's completed this level. And I'm not gonna like 100% a fucking roguelike of this genre. Like, it was a fun game for sure, but I'm not gonna like slam through it to do that. But the fact that there's the guy that plays the game for you means that I'm going to play for a little bit. I'm going to get a little bored, and then I'm just going to have the guy play for a little bit, and it'll like keep progressing me. And it's kind of fun to like watch the little guy do it. So what did you guys think about that part?
I was actually pretty high on the idle mechanics, but I guess, like, for full context, I'm more of a casual idle enjoyer. And honestly, the thing that impressed me the most about the idle game mechanics is specifically like the radicalist, which is the guy that plays the game for you. I was pretty astounded at like how like efficient it was. When I did the combination, like the matchmaker doubling of the idle and the turn-based guy, and I saw that shit go to work, I was like, there is no way humans can compete with this guy. It's just like not possible.
That's funny.
Especially once you turn on turn-based.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to like besmirch the idle game aspects. It's just like if someone had sold this game to me as like an idle game, I would have been pissed. Is kind of what I mean. But like the fact that it's there and it's not terrible is cool.
Yeah,
I
that
think,
makes sense.
I think the idle mechanics are really like the best part of the game. I think the game, it's like the moment to moment gameplay of this game, I think is actually like not good, like at all. Like I think it's worse than like Vampire Survivors even.
Really? Huh, that's interesting.
I think this game
Thank
is
God I guessed low.
just hitting everything that every other, because I play a bunch of these games but it's usually only for like 2 hours because like it's like what's the novel thing that the game has to show? Okay, that's it. And that's kind of how they're designed. And so this one I don't think is really any different. If anything, I think the gameplay itself is like less interesting than things like the Halls of Torment or Death Must Die, shit like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was kind of in between something like Vampire Survivors, and to me, the far extreme of that is Soulstone Survivors. You might know better than I do in that realm, but Vampire Survivors, I distinctly remember, other than like the core like Vampire Survivors stuff of like managing what upgrades you're getting and combining them and all that stuff. Like a lot of the gameplay in Vampire Survivors was kind of like whatever. I'm walking in circles,
Yeah.
shit's dying, cool. Got to make sure I collect my gems, sick. And this game obviously has that, and it's not quite as deep as something like Soulstone Survivors, where there's like a lot of shit on the ground that you have to dodge, and it's like almost calling that game high octane is a little bit too much praise, but that kind of thing where you're like actively like ARPGing your way through the game. This game I felt like was kind of in a healthy middle between those two, where like you have to be mindful of your positioning, both like where your character is standing and how you're bouncing your balls. I felt like there was a lot more strategy in this game regarding like what balls you choose, and also like what matchmakers you're making as you're going into it. I felt like this game had a lot more strategy in that regard. So I don't know. It all kind of like I don't know. We say it a lot, I feel like, but this was another game where it was like the game was greater than the sum. What the hell is the phrase?
Some of its parts.
Greater
Should
than
it
the
have
sum of
been a
its
visual
parts,
novel?
Huh.
Yeah, I felt like this game was
Immersive
definitely greater
sim.
than the sum of its parts.
I agree and disagree with some aspects of that. So like I do agree that I actually do think the actual gameplay of this game is much more interesting than something like a Vampire Survivors, because like in my estimation, Vampire Survivors, like kind of the moment to moment gameplay in that game, at least for me anyway, was getting to a point where my build was such that I could just stand still and then like watch a YouTube video on my other monitor while things died and I got XP or whatever. And that's not really an option in this game because you kind of constantly have to be moving. Like even when your build's kind of broken, you can't just like go AFK. But the part I disagree with is that there's like a depth or complexity to builds, because this game has like the worst part of this game maybe is its balance. There's like three abilities where if you just pick one of them, you're going to win, and if you just start with the burn guy, then you're basically just AFK city after that. So like for me anyway, it felt like a lot of the builds just felt so flat because it was either I got sun or magma, or the other one that's not coming to my head right now, and I won or I didn't get those, and I either struggled or died. And very rarely did I die, but sometimes I struggled.
Yeah, I definitely think the upgrade system, like all the unlocks and shit that you have, is definitely imbalanced, like you said, and also there's just not enough of them. Like Vampire Survivors was cool because every time you ever like evolved something, it felt like, oh, I'm one step closer to watching a YouTube video. Like Ball X Pit, I watched the whole Mario movie while playing this game, like in like early times of playing the game, because it never really felt like I ever really had to pay attention outside of like aim in a general direction and stand in a general certain place. And then if I got good enough with like upgrade luck, then I win. And if I didn't, then I had to lose, get a harvest, and maybe I got a little bit stronger so that I can win next time.
I guess like something I'm kind of struggling to understand is, I mean, you kind of explained it at the start, but what is it exactly about Vampire Survivors that's making it better? Like it sounds like if I understood what you said correctly, you were able to like fully brain AFK the entire run, but why is that true for this game and not for Vampire Survivors? It sounded like.
Because Vampire Survivors felt like you constantly had to like push the level to get to certain places quickly, so it didn't feel like you were as like wait around. Like this game, you just kind of wait for the game to come to you, basically, right? Like Vampire Survivors, you had to be like, okay, I have to go get this item really quick. So you're constantly trying to like push there to a certain part of the screen, which gave like the player a sense of urgency. Where in this game, like I wish I could have played it twice as fast as the fastest setting in the game.
Oh, that's an interesting perspective. I just, yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to like reconcile like how I felt with what you just said because like when I played the game, I actually loved the moment to moment gameplay because like it was like Babby's first shmup where like most games that have the
Yeah.
I guess as like a preface, I really hate the label bullet heaven for like a really autistic reason because um there was like a YouTuber named Studio Mud Prince who has like this whole series about bullet hells and shmups called Bullet Heaven, and I feel like co-opting the name for this subgenre kind of like diminishes his like decades long work. But I felt like this game was like the first one that I ever played that almost kind of justified the label because it had like very minor shmup mechanics, but they were actually there where you had to do like the like streaming of bullets and like baiting them and stuff sometimes. And like I know that there was like a lot of visual clutter, but I think there was a couple things that balanced that out. Namely, that most of the enemy bullets were destructible, but still, even then, I felt like I was using some like very fundamental skills of shmups, which I kind of enjoyed, and I would never have to do in something like Vampire Survivors, where eventually you get to the point where either you stand still or you, even if you don't get a standstill build, you can just run around in circles and still never die.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it's objectively bad. I'm just saying for me, it didn't click.
Yeah, and I also like the moment to moment stuff in this game. Like, um, I mean, I think it's a positive that the game doesn't really reach that point where I felt like I was like YouTubeable at all times. I think that that's not really an inherently good quality in a game like this, in my opinion, anyway. But like, I did enjoy what the game had on offer, and that I did actually feel like I had to pay some degree of attention.
Yeah, I think like not all levels are born equal with some of the moment to moment stuff. Like I'm thinking of Fungal Forest and the Heavenly levels in particular. Fungal Forest has the enemies that like buff the speed of the other ones that you have to kill really quick, otherwise you're going to get overwhelmed. And the Heavenly level has the statues that catch your balls and release them when you kill them.
Mm-hmm.
And those ones were ones where I was like, oh my god, I'd like actually have to be paying attention to this, otherwise I am going to get fucked. And I think I agree with you guys in the sense that more levels should have been that extreme, because like certain levels have unique mechanics, like the kind of Egyptian level has the laser beams, I think is the unique mechanic there, but it's just not as good as the other ones. So like there's a couple good ideas, uh it's just not consistent, I guess would be my criticism.
Yeah, I think that the game and that's like I 100% agree with that because I feel like if you only really play like the first 2, 3, maybe 4 levels of this game, like you don't really get like a full sense for like what the game is doing because I feel like the game really like it takes its fucking bra off in like the last maybe 3 levels and it starts throwing these like weird enemy mechanics and shit at you that makes it like to where you really can't get inside of that just stand still and win zone because the enemies actually do like weird shit like you're saying and I think that that's like a big strength of this game is the way that like it wasn't just basically static enemies that shoot arrows. It's like they start doing weird shit, like especially in the last couple levels for sure.
Yeah, and like the moment that really made me feel how Ben was feeling was when I realized that this game is basically a bullet hell. Like that is like it's like 33% of the like idle game farming simulator stuff, 33% Vampire Survivor, and 33% bullet hell. And I don't know, in a game like this that I didn't expect as much out of, other than like the visceral satisfaction of like a Vampire Survivors clone, I thought that mishmash of that like three-way gameplay loop just worked really well for me.
Nice. I also typically don't like games that have when you lose, you get stronger mechanics, and I think that that's kind of what this game felt like to me. Like I felt like I just had to have a bunch of throwaway runs so that I can do more harvests, so that I can build the buildings.
Yeah, I don't like that when losing is like built into the game and like there's just no way for you to advance unless you do
Yeah.
die. That shit is annoying as fuck to me, but I don't know I necessarily felt so much that way in this game. There's definitely stuff that like you wouldn't be able to beat, like Vast Void or whatever, if you didn't have a bunch of upgrades and levels and stuff,
I think it would
but yeah.
help maybe like the early game balance. At least that's when I felt the game was most imbalanced. Is if they just gave you more, not powers, but like more things to pick from the pick three earlier on. Because like earlier on, it feels like you really did have to pick like 3 out of like 10 choices,
Yeah.
or you just lost. Whereas eventually, and I think this was by design, is like when you had the full suite available, it was much more balanced in that, and to the point where it might have been too balanced, where it's like almost inconsequential. And the reason why I'd say it's by design is because it has to work with the idle game mechanics, where the AI kind of just picks randomly, so anything basically has to work at that point. Maybe I'm making shit up that isn't actually true, but it feels right to say.
For sure.
No, I think you're correct because, like, early on, I definitely had that feeling that Thomas was describing earlier with the balance, where I just, oddly enough, I felt like I had to pick different balls than Thomas, but it was still applicable. Where like the vertical laser was doing so much more damage than everything else that if I didn't pick that one, I don't know what I'm doing. I got to figure something out. But yeah, it's exactly what you're saying. That problem alleviates itself the longer it goes. Maybe that's partly because of the meta progression-y stuff. Maybe, I'm not sure. Like some of the smaller stuff I don't really care about, like the statues that give you the base stats, because that works with the idle game stuff. And even like collecting resources is like generally fine, I guess, but certain things like matchmaker, I don't know. I think you should have had matchmaker after level 1 because it's such a huge power spike to not have it. I don't really understand the point of where it's unlocked, and also the fact that you can not unlock it, because like Thomas was talking in the chat and he was already past the level where you get it, and I guess unless you're really autistic about collecting blueprints, you could just straight up miss like the best feature of the game. Like that doesn't seem great.
Yeah, I definitely didn't like the blueprint system because of what you just said. Like, I feel like if you beat a level, then basically you should get mostly everything out of that level, especially if you want to go to the next level. Like, I think that should be either like a currency that you get from all the levels that you can use to unlock or something like that, like just some other system, because yeah, having to grind a level that you're past in terms of power level felt really bad.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. Like, and there's like a couple things they could have done, like kind of like achievement unlocks or something like that. But maybe that's too much rewriting of what they did. But yeah, I do agree that that's
Yeah,
like an RG drop felt kind of lame for that kind of like very impactful progression.
exactly. Yeah, if it was just like, I don't know, I don't even know what would be like non-impactful, maybe like cosmetics or something, then sure. But like literally anything that has an impact on your run, it doesn't seem like a good idea to put behind like a grind of something you don't necessarily want to be doing.
I will say I don't think it's a good idea. Uh, it could have been implemented better for sure, but I think that the way the game handles it is still not super egregious. It's kind of just like a why. But like things like it automatically telling you how many blueprints are left in the level, great. The fact that those blueprints are like very high drop rate, at least in my experience, I didn't really struggle to get all of them once I started going to a level where I still needed blueprints. Like I think it might be like guaranteed. Like if there's
Yeah, it
one
seems like it.
blueprint left, you're just gonna get it. Yeah, that's what it felt like. So it's definitely like a could have been better, but it's not like I fucking hate this game now because of it.
I think, like, if it were me, the way that I would handle how they did the blueprints in this game. So, you know how the first time you kill a boss, you get the blueprint for like the plus 0.05 like status effect damage per character that
Mhm.
The
beats
statues,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah. I would just make it so that every time you beat a boss is when you get those like critical upgrades like matchmaker, like cogitator, like fuck, what was like radical and tactician, rather than that like useless dumpy ass like stone statue that is like an extremely like who gives a fuck
Yeah.
thing. They should just give you like the big upgrades the first time, and then the who gives a fuck upgrades can be there if you want to go back and finish it.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
way
like
to
I
do
think
it.
I think I had already beaten the game before realizing I needed to go back and unlock the final character, which was a funny
That's
realization.
funny.
What'd you guys think about the base building part of this game?
At first, I really hated it, and then when I realized that it's an idle game, that I liked it a lot more. But that didn't change the fact that I still hated it at the beginning.
Yeah, at first I hated
Yeah.
it, and then by the end I also hated it.
Well, at the
I
end, I liked it, but like I wouldn't say that I loved it. But I definitely did dislike it at the beginning.
I hated it at the start because at the start of the game it very much felt like a why the hell is this in the game kind of situation. Um the UX, I guess you would call it, of like moving things around and rearranging your buildings. I don't know if it's necessarily the UX of it, but like it's just not really fun to have to
Super
reorganize my
tedious.
buildings
It's
constantly.
horrible,
Yeah.
especially on
Super fucking
controller.
tedious.
Holy fuck!
Oh, that sounds awful. Is it like a floaty cursor on controller, or how does it work?
You do move a cursor with like one of the sticks. Yeah, it's it's just not enjoyable to do, especially when you want to rearrange buildings.
Yeah, I think like reorganizing your entire base just to support the like one new building that you found that you need to construct, that was like very tedious, very annoying. That all that being said, by the end of it, I don't know, I was kind of into it. I had like a basic idea of the like gauntlet that I wanted all my guys to run through, and I've just filled it with the resource that I needed and just like replaced those buildings as needed with like new buildings I was constructed. So like by the end of the game I was like neutral to good on it, but yeah, it was rough getting there for sure.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I did like it, or at least I liked that it was kind of involved because it essentially became the gameplay once you got the idle game stuff.
Right, right.
Yeah, I feel like it was the system that was introduced where instead of like the game showing you like friction and frustration, like that's kind of where he put it. So then it would kind of be like, hey, what you know when you press play, you're in the fun time zone, and then you know when you go back to base, you have the break from the fun time zone, and now you gotta like manage all of this fucking bullshit.
I do want to mention one thing along those lines is like I and you guys can feel free to disagree with me on this, but I think that if you are going to do a meta progression style thing, base building style thing, this is the way to do it. Just because, like, I'm comparing this game to Hades 2. I've rated Hades 2 pretty highly. I think I rated it a 9. I thought that game was super fun. But everything in, like, the home hub area, it was fucking tedious, drawing, boring bullshit. And, like, in Hades 2, none of that stuff was, like, really thematic with the actual gameplay of the game. Like, yeah, you're a witch, so you're, like, making, like, vegetables and shit, and you're, like, brewing a cauldron and whatever. So it's thematic in that way. But in this game, it's like you're doing the like the bubble bobble style thing as your like home base thing. You're doing like the core gameplay thing in your home base, and I just thought that that one aspect of like shooting out your workers to hit everything, I thought that was very thematic, and I give it a lot of like style points for that reason.
Yeah, this game is a master of like of juice, right? Like the game design concept of juice. It's pretty hard to beat this game in that manner, and I think that that part of it with like the breakout style base building stuff just contributes to that to a degree. It's just it's I like if you like it, great, but I just thought it was so fucking tedious having to like remake caves and shit for to get everything to bounce around the fucking buildings I wanted to upgrade. Just drove me nuts.
Do you guys know what, like, if there was like a time limit based on when like the villagers refreshed or something? So if you could like optimize when you should abandon a run. I didn't like go that deep into it, but I feel like that would be a thing.
I don't know. I mean, I know that they did refresh, but I don't know if you're ever explicitly told or if anyone's even measured that.
Oh, I bet you
What?
people definitely have. There's got to be like a Ball X Pit speed run guide of people doing that shit of just like abandoning
Yeah,
runs. I'm sure.
Well,
that's kind
because
of
I don't think that it's contingent on when you can harvest, right? It's just how fast the like wheat fields and shit respawn. Because I think you can harvest right away, even if you just went in a run and died immediately. It's
I don't
just
think
like a
so.
lot of those resources don't respawn.
Because I tried just abandoning a run immediately and I couldn't fire the guys
yeah. I
again.
think I think you do
Hmm.
have to play at least a little bit. Like you do have to like put in a legitimate run, or you don't get the harvest
Yeah.
again. That being said, like, and maybe this is just because of the way that I played, and I'm kind of like the resident gotcha game gamer. But I kind of like the fact that the idle buildings were there, specifically like the 24-hour ones, because that's how I treated it. I just quote unquote logged in and played a session of Bollocks Pit once a day, basically, and that's when I got the most value out of it.
That's hilarious. Doing the Ball X Pit dailies.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I treated it, and that's why I guess I'm not, even though I'm not saying that I'm like the biggest fan of like the meta progression base building shit. Like it was fun, and pretty much still enjoyed it because I only played it once a day because I treated it like a gotcha game.
Yeah, I think I liked all that stuff. I probably would have liked it a little more again if it was like earlier because I could have like tapped into that idle mechanic stuff sooner, I think. But yeah, I think that if the game had leaned in, like I liked it, and I would have liked it even more if it like leaned into it even heavier. And it was like, oh, you get a building that once per 24 hours gives you 1,000 stone. You just have to like click the the thing, and then it's like the progression reward system as you progress one day through the week.
Oh, like your daily login bonus.
Yeah, exactly. Like just stuff like that I thought would have been like an extra point in comedy value because obviously I think they knew what they were doing with that stuff. I think it would have been funny.
Yeah, for me personally, I didn't like any of the idle game stuff like at all. It kind of just felt like why wouldn't I just use Cheat Engine to give me the same thing that the idle games do because I don't want to wait for the time. So I don't know. I didn't interface with any of the mechanics because I didn't like them.
I mean, I don't know about all that. That's like, why wouldn't you just use cheat engine and NGU because you don't want to wait? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but the point of NGU is like you know what you're getting into. Like Ball X Pit, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna play a game like this, but when you show me idle mechanics, I'm like, ooh, that's not what I signed up for me personally.
That
Yeah, but
makes sense. Yeah.
that's the game. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Sure. I don't like it. That's what I'm saying.
How is that different from what you were saying earlier with like the goal in Vampire Survivors being able to AFK?
Because Vampire Survivors doesn't have don't play the game and you get progression mechanics, which was what like idle game stuff is. Like the point of Vampire Survivors is to feel really strong with a build. You don't get there via doing your Vampire Survivor dailies.
I guess that's true. The like basically if I'm playing this game at work, it's kind of fun to just like play a couple games and then I have to step away for a minute so I just have a run going while I'm like going and doing something. You know, it's not like so egregious that like I need my number to go up so I need to cheat engine the game, but it's like okay, I'm going to be away from my computer for a minute so I'm going to have it idle for a bit.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is just from my WoW botting days, but I'm a really big fan of like sanctioned cheating.
I feel like the reason earlier why I said that the idle mechanics didn't really like jive with me is because they felt so like inconsequential. Like I didn't really feel like they were like a big barrier to complete the game. Like yes, you had to click harvest every time you could, but I didn't really ever at any point in this game feel like fuck, I got to wait like 8 hours to for XYZ to happen. I just had to do a few runs and click harvest a few more times and I was good to go.
And also additionally to that for the meta progression stuff, not to like change the topic, but I also never felt super gated by the meta progression. Like, yes, it's there. It's definitely buffing my stats. It's definitely giving me options and whatnot. But most of the time that I failed runs, it felt like it was a skill issue or like a strategy issue rather than just a raw stat thing. I could be totally wrong about that, but that is the feeling that I had.
Yeah, the feeling I had was I either didn't get sun or magma and I died.
Yeah, that's what I think it is. I think the meta progression makes up for the bad luck you have because early on it feels like you just get doomed. Like when you don't really have anything, it's just like, okay, I didn't get the things, and every time I get efficient, it's giving me one fucking level. I guess I go next.
Yeah, I guess like to bring it back to the idle game stuff in relation to that though, like I guess my argument would be that like and to bring it back to Hades 2, Hades 2 would be a better game if all of the like meta progression stuff in that game was automated. Like if all of the like planting and harvesting and blah blah blah, if the game did all of that for you, or if I could send Malinois out on runs to like collect the resources I need to unlock my new weapons, it would be a better game in my opinion.
That's just because the grind in that game is just so long and egregious that anything that you could do to not be forced into doing it as much and how often you have to do would make any aspect of the meta progression of that game better, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, if Wallach's Pit had a hub world I had to go to, and I had to walk over to the villager, and then I had to shoot my harvest out, and then I had to go talk to someone else to build buildings and stuff like that, I think I would actively hate this game.
Oh yeah, I've uninstalled
Yeah.
for sure.
So,
Yeah, it would have been
I think if
terrible.
Hades 2 just had a menu like this game did, it would automatically just be like way less tedious, even though it's still tedious.
I have a curious, like hypothetical question, and maybe this is too much rewritey, but like, if this game just had a traditional, just menu-based progression where it's like literally just the Vampire Survivors menu, would you like it or dislike it
I
more?
think it would be about the same. I like, if anything, I like that they tried to do something different. Specifically, I just didn't like I don't like the idle game shit, so I just didn't interface with it. But I think it's cool that they're at least trying to do something different with it.
I felt like if they were going to do the like base building stuff, then it should have been more impactful for your runs rather than tied into the meta progression stuff. Like for example, I think of the one building I can remember, and there's a couple that do something like this, but there's one building that increases the amount of stats that buildings in its radius gives. And I think that it should have had more stuff like that where you're like incentivized to place your blocks in an efficient way to like affect your runs in one way or another. And I said there were others, but that's literally the only one that I can think of. So yeah, I don't know. I think it just should have had more than stuff if it's gonna do that.
Yeah, maybe another, at least in my mind, like easy slam dunk is that, like, because in my opinion, the most impactful upgrades weren't actually any of the stats, but were just like the discrete powers that you can choose in a run from the pick three. So, like, if you just unlock those through the meta progression, I feel like that would just inherently give it more impact.
Yeah, I agree. I guess to answer your question more directly, I probably would have liked it more if it had like a
Interesting.
more Vampire Survivors meta progression, I think.
I
But
definitely.
I think I'm opposite for sure.
But most of that is just because the rearranging of buildings was annoying.
I'm glad that they tried something new. My problem with it is that the new sucked, so I would have preferred the old one.
Yeah, I like the fact that it's novel more than anything in a genre that is like not novel at all.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. I
Yeah,
guess I'm
I
even
do.
then. I'm still like a bigger fan of it than you guys are, but like I understand where you guys are coming from for sure.
I definitely understand
I
people
like
like
the
it too.
gameplay loop.
It definitely gave the game a very unique identity. Like even if it's not like perfect, I think that I respect the choice that they made for sure.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it all meshes together like fairly well.
Yeah, and I did like this game. It's just the building based stuff could have just been deleted, and I would have liked the game a little bit more.
Did you guys have any desire to continue playing the game after hitting credits?
No.
I did a little bit and then I stopped.
I didn't even have a desire to play the game before getting even far into it. Like I said, I would just start to put movies and YouTube videos on, and I just used like the game as something to do while watching those things instead of vice versa.
I guess I
had,
don't
like-
really consider that negative though, because I do that with like every game.
Oh, sure.
But
No, yeah, yeah. for me, typically, like when I play a game, I want to lock in on a game, unless it's like MMOE, like MMOs and like ARPGs and shit like that. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm the same.
I think I had kind of a desire to keep playing when I saw there was a new game plus, because it's like, oh, going back to like the first level, but it's actually hard now. That could be fun. But then I think I saw you had to do like 5 runs of the last level, and I was like, I fucking hate that level. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
That was the thing that killed the New Game Plus for me, was just the sheer number of gears you needed to unlock the next level. I was just like, I could just do Radicalist and someone else like 10 times or whatever, but I just don't feel like doing it.
Yeah, it just the amount of gears you needed just did not feel necessary. I literally
Yeah.
would have just kept playing if it wasn't for that, I think.
I think it's a big time. The ends don't justify the means, kind of thing.
Yeah, the juice ain't worth the squeeze.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I think what they're trying to do is get you to experiment with like matchmaker builds. I guess, I assume, but I don't know. I feel like I was doing that naturally. Like, what, you don't need to tell me to do that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the vibe I got the entire game was that they constantly wanted you, like, you are incentivized to switch it up as much as possible. It's just, you never really have to.
Yeah, I
I
don't think 20% gold or whatever they give you for the like unique character choices is enough of a boon to want to pick shitty characters.
Yeah, and Matchmaker makes it such that, like, I'm okay if I just make one gear a run, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
like I do want to give this game a big shout out for like I felt like there was quite a bit of depth to the combinations that you could do, like how different characters affected each other. I'm thinking of like, did you guys ever do, I think it's the physicist, the guy that gives your balls gravity with the one that makes your balls come back to you when they hit the back screen?
No, I didn't
Oh, that
like that
sounds
guy.
fun. I never tried that, but that sounds
It
fun.
is ludicrously fun. It doesn't really work on the last level for reasons that I found, but yeah, it's like ridiculous. It is obscenely fun and good. So if you start the game up again, I recommend that. But yeah, there's just a lot of different ways that another character will make it really fun, or like how you can do the turn-based guy and the one that like shoots extra special balls instead of baby balls, and it'll shoot like 8 regular balls every single turn, and that was really fun too.
The most, I don't know if this is like really experimental since it seems like obvious to try, but like, and I mentioned before because it was like my favorite combination, is that when you put the idle and turn-based guy together and you play that last level where there's like the different portals on the floor, you're gonna see like some crazy fucking trick shots by this fucking AI. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really funny to watch the AI do some crazy stuff sometimes. Yeah, I don't know. The different like combinations of characters I thought was like some of the most fun I had in this game. Like just figuring out how they interacted, what you wanted to do with them. I don't know. Thought it was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe it's I didn't put too much thought into them, but I kind of like went with like the obvious synergies, like picking the 2 characters that generated baby balls, just to
Yeah.
have like just a pure baby ball build. But like that, I feel like that's like level 1 thinking, and that's kind of where I stopped with the synergies.
That's basically what
Yeah,
I
like
did.
like dog, choose fucking cohabitants, the one that
I love
like splits up your
cohabitants.
balls. Cohabitants with the one that makes all of your balls bounce off of the back. Oh my god.
Cohabitants was my favorite character, I think, just in like pure raw fun value. I don't think its power level's very high, but for whatever reason, I just really fucking enjoyed playing that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only one that like just straight up sucked all the way through was the one that it had something to do with the back, right? You guys know which one I'm talking about. We talked about it in the
The
Discord.
assassin, yeah.
Yeah, I can't
Your
remember
balls
what it
come
does
from the
exactly.
back.
Oh yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that I don't know if it's possible to have fun with that one unless you're using the radicalist.
It was
In which case you're not even playing.
it was so fucking annoying. Where there would just be one guy coming at you, and then you're just
Mhm.
trying. You
Just can't
point
do
your mouse
anything.
at that guy, and it just never gets to him, and then you just take damage for no
Yeah.
reason.
I wanted it to work every time because it felt like a character where, like, if you had a busted build, it would be really fun. But I don't think I had
Yeah.
a single successful run with them.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out what a busted build would even look like.
I feel like I'd have to do something with Pierce, but I don't even know if that's true because I actually tested that hypothesis by matchmakering it with the guy that says like balls pierce until they hit a wall, and I still lost that run like really, really fast.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that speaks back to some of the balance issues of the game because I don't know, some of the balls, like the balls that Ghost, I think it's called, that just make it go through enemies. Like you just can't pick those in the early game. They just
Mm-hmm.
don't do enough. But
Mm-hmm.
like the reason I still kind of like that they're in the game is because they become really good evolution targets. But yeah, it just sucks that they're so bad by themselves.
Yeah, I had to learn the lesson early on that like picking anything that just gives you pierce and locks your balls up at the top of the screen is just insta death.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's very like counterintuitive too, like
Yeah.
how you guys were saying, because you're like, oh my god, this is gonna be sick, and then you're like, wait, why am I dead?
Yeah, why am I not shooting anything anymore?
Yeah, and it's like stuff like that should synergize with things like statues or things like the accessories that like do damage when you first approach melee range of an enemy, but those accessories are just so bad that you can't pick them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean this is just a game that's like very like juice forward. Like they very much designed this game with just like game feel in mind and didn't really
Yeah.
give too much of a shit about balance, clearly.
That's why, like, for me, when I say like, I don't think the moment to moment gameplay is that good because I think it's those out of game systems. Like, I don't remember the names of anything like you guys do. For me, it's all icons that I remember, but I know Matchmaker is one of them where like Matchmaker changes the game so much that it's fun, but it's like it's that system that changes it, not like the game itself. For me, it's like all the things that are happening around shooting balls is the cool part.
I think that like can be fine. Like maybe this game is a little bit too dragged out for this, but I'm thinking of a game like God, I can't remember what it was called, but it was basically like a roguelike pachinko machine where like you upgrade the different nodes in your pachinko machine and like it makes it do all this crazy stuff. But like in that game, it works because your pachinko machine is really, really short. You just drop the ball and then you're done. But in this game, the actual core gameplay has to be a little better since it's so dragged out.
Exactly.
Are you talking about Peglin?
No, he's talking. I can't remember the one he's talking
It's
about.
got a fucked up name, but Peglin is similar.
It's just like a super simple game, and it's all about numbers, right? The one you're talking about, Seth?
I remember there was like a goofy looking stick dude, and I think the game is named after him.
I might not even
But it
know what
was
you're
like
talking
literally a
about.
pachinko machine. It was like a
Yeah.
pachinko machine and a pyramid. Billionaire, that's it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh,
Not what I was thinking
yeah.
of, but I'm familiar with it, yeah.
Yeah, that game was fun.
Yeah, I think my main issue with like a game like this and a game like that is that, yeah, this game has 20-minute runs, and those games are like, pull the spin button, watch the numbers go crazy, get an upgrade, pull the spin button. Like the time between upgrades is like nothing compared to this game.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, partly for that reason, my enjoyment of the game only went up because you start like doing faster and faster runs. Like, you don't have the like 20-minute runs anymore. You
Yeah.
have 8-minute runs because it's literally just faster.
Yeah. That was definitely a good part. If I had to do 20 minutes with every fucking character, every run, that would be miserable.
I don't know. I feel like, and maybe this is just very specific to me, but I actually really like the 15, 20-minute runs, mostly because I work from home. So it actually helped me be like more productive, kind of in like a roundabout way.
Wait,
Where
more
I would
productive?
just,
Wait, what does that
little
mean?
Pomodoro break game.
yeah, exactly. Because like other games
Oh,
where
you
like
do
I
a
have to
run. Okay.
actively play them, like I would kind of neglect work, and I normally do, but like more than I should. Whereas in this game, like I felt rewarded by doing work because I could just check back and then the run would be done.
Oh, but you're talking about the idle
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Once the
gotcha,
idle
gotcha,
stuff is
gotcha.
unlocked, yeah.
Okay, so you liked that the game gave you the option to not play it, so you didn't feel like you were missing out on efficiency.
Yeah, because
Okay,
then
gotcha.
it
I
became
gotcha.
more of like a management simulator, like an
Yeah.
automated one, which I liked. But again, that's very specific to my circumstances.
Thomas, did you have anything you wanted to mention with regards to the visual clutter? I personally didn't feel too bothered by it, but you have a question in there.
No, I was just wondering how you guys felt about it. I was kind of the same way because I feel like games like this strike a very fine balance between like too much bullshit on the screen and I guess just too much bullshit on the screen. But I was actually going to say that I thought they did a really good job with balancing all of that out relative to how much like fucking chaos exists in the later parts of this game.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned it before, but having a lot of enemy bullets be destructible helps a lot in that respect.
Yep. Exactly what I was going to say. The only times where I really felt overwhelmed in like kind of a bullet helly sense was when I was running a build that didn't have baby balls, so the destructibles just weren't really dying. That was kind of a lot, but I learned my lesson and I started only using baby balls.
Yeah, I don't really have visual clutter problems in games. I think that's just because I played so many games. So yeah, I can understand if someone was like, "This is visually overwhelming," or "I can't tell what's going on," but it didn't bother me.
I did want to ask you, you bullet hell fanatics, did you guys struggle with the hitboxes? Because I was really bad at it, and I couldn't tell if it's just because I'm bad at bullet hells.
I mean, you didn't have a focus button, and like when you shot, like if you had like the knockback things or like slowing down when you shoot, so you're constantly changing speed without you controlling it, it's very clunky to control. But I thought all the attacks were like so easy to dodge, probably because I'm used to playing bullet hells so much that
Yeah,
I didn't find that to be a problem.
Yeah, same. I actually thought the hitbox felt so small that like I would constantly expect to get hit and I didn't.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. Like when you do get hit, it's because you did try to dodge most of the time.
Yeah, no, I just kept running into this weird thing, specifically after I got Matchmaker, where like I just couldn't really tell where my hitbox was. Like, I think if you're cohabitants, your hitbox is both of your characters, but it's not when you're Matchmaker non-cohabitants. So I don't know.
Really,
I just got
I don't know about that. I think it's always wherever the blue dots are if you have your hitbox turned on in the settings.
Yeah.
I was about to say, I don't even
I
know
didn't know
if.
that.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, I was thinking, like, did I have to turn that on? Because I feel like Seth didn't have that on.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
setting you have to turn on. You
Okay,
can see
okay,
your
okay.
hitbox,
okay,
Yeah,
and when you have matchmaker, you'll see two blue dots instead of
yeah,
one. And
okay.
actually something that amused me, and I think it's the reason why they made so many of like those idle game buildings be stuff like, or not idle game buildings, but like some of the power ups. A lot of those relics be like, you gain health when you get hit by a projectile, because I feel like the radicalist AI can't dodge shit when it has to account for two hitboxes, which and it's one of the reasons why I thought it was kind of weird and maybe backwards that you got matchmaker before the idle game stuff. Because if you play radicalist with or with a matchmaker, it gets hit by fucking everything. Because I think it would actually dodge everything perfectly if you only had one hitbox, but maybe because there are two hitboxes, the AI that would need to like run constantly to be able to make sure both spots are safe at all times, maybe it like breaks some kind of like big O notation like magnitude where like it's the game starts lagging and they're like fuck it,
yeah.
we'll just
Too
let the
expensive.
character get hit and just put in a bunch of mechanics to like make it so that you can't die basically.
Yeah.
All right. Narrative. Was it enough?
That was cool. I
I
thought.
think Well, I guess I have two things to say about it. One, at least as far as I'm concerned, like the amount of narrative was zero, like
Yeah.
literally zero. But I think that's fine in a game that is so arcadey. Where like I think of something
Yeah.
like Metal Slug, where like I couldn't even tell you what the names of the characters you play are in Metal Slug. But if you put me in front of a Metal Slug cabinet and hypothetically give me unlimited quarters, I'm gonna play the shit out of it.
Yeah, I'm with Ben. Like I know that the game mentioned something called Bulbalon, and I was like rebuilding Bulbalon after it had fallen and something along those lines, but other than that, it might as well have not existed, and I don't think the game is any less for it.
Yeah, it makes me think of like Vampire Survivors, where if you pointed a gun at my head and you're like, tell me the story of Vampire Survivors, I'm fucking dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. For the same reason, I thought what narrative there was in this game was fucking sick. Because you know what? Extremely high density narrative. Extremely high density. There's only two cutscenes, beginning of the game, end of the game. It communicates the entire story in that first cutscene with 3 words: Balbalon has fallen. And I was like, that's a sick fucking intro. I know the stakes. I know what I need to know. Let's fucking get in there. And then the ending cutscene, I thought it was sick. I love little cutscenes like that give me shroom flashbacks, and that ending cutscene did. So you know what? I fucking love the narrative in this game.
I mean, I loved it too, but like, if you told me that, like, if you told me to describe the narrative from those two cutscenes, I wouldn't have been able to do it. But I still enjoyed them too.
Yeah, I just think like I don't know. It's something I've been thinking about a little bit after Fate Stay Night, where like the actual density of a narrative is pretty important, and like a lot of JRPGs do this wrong, and it's just something I'm appreciating more, where if you can communicate more of your narrative in less, then I appreciate that. It doesn't have to be like a wildly complex fucking Expedition 33 style narrative, but just like tell me what's going on, get out of the way, let me have fun with the game. And I thought this game did that perfectly.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I think
Yeah,
that
and
that's a big thing for a lot of games for me, because like games from last year that I think really did that well would be like Silk Song. There's not a whole bunch of like exposition or like very dense like lengthy cutscenes, and no one really speaks, but like the story is self-evident and it's there, and it's like enjoyable enough and adds enough meaning to the narrative that it just fucking rules.
I mean, I kind of disagree specifically with this game because I just don't know what the narrative is at all. That's why that's why I said like the narrative is literally zero, because I know that they had words and I saw the word like Balbalon and Balbalonia, but that's about it. But like I still greatly enjoyed it even with that dearth of information.
Yeah, like I'm kind of lumping it in the same category as have you guys heard or played Shotgun King?
I've never heard of it.
Same.
I mean, it's the chess game, but I
game's
haven't played it.
Yeah, that game's the exact same way, where it's just like you're the black king, the white king took over, you have a shotgun, go kill him, and like that's it. And I don't know, I just really appreciate that kind of style when it communicates to me that they understand what their game is trying to do and they're not trying to do more than that. And like I think in one of the other episodes, it was either Thomas or Ben that was like, if this is your first video game, just don't write dialogue. Just don't put it in the game, because you
Oh,
trying to figure that out is just going to bring your game down,
yeah, I
right?
remember that. The criteria is actually if you're a millennial, just don't write dialogue.
Yeah,
But
it's like
so
the yeah.
yeah, and the way the reason why I think like this kind of narrative works, at least for me personally, is because of the arcadey game loop, where like you're not expecting
Yeah.
a Fate Stay Night story from
Sure.
this game, and if it did have one, it would be fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because like I'm like proponent number one of like dense, complex narratives, but at the same time, like you got to know your audience. And if this game had tried to shoehorn in some dense, complex narrative, and it just ended up being what it probably would have if they tried that, then the game would have been worse. But the lack of a narrative, or at least like a very overwhelming narrative, like I don't hold that against the game at all, the same way I would have if it did have a narrative and it just sucked.
Yeah, because I mean that's the thing about density, right? If there's fewer cutscenes, fewer words, then
Mm-hmm.
the density is going to be higher, even if it's not a complex narrative, and that's why I appreciate it.
I am ready for a Vampire Survivor style game with a Clair Obscura style story. I think that would be extremely fucking funny just on principle.
That would be funny.
I'd have to see it because I'm just mentally already writing it off. Because I'm thinking of like something that like, are you just assuming hypothetically that it's gonna have like masterwork writing? Because like when I
Exactly.
think of something like that, I think of examples that already exist. I think of Monster Train 2, and I think of how I uninstalled it.
Yeah, no, I'm saying like it's never going to happen because you can't get the crossroads of like a developer that's making a game that's as easy to make as a Vampire Survivors game, but a writer that's as good as they are to be able to write something that's like actually compelling. So like it'll literally never happen, but I just think it would be extremely funny if like Sandfall's next game was Vampire Survivors, but some like
Oddly enough,
HBO shit.
oddly enough, I think what you said actually increases the likelihood of a game like that, because like I might be the best fucking writer in the world, but I don't know how to make games. Oh, this Vampire Survivor thing looks really easy to make. I'm just gonna make a clone and put my story in it.
That would be awesome. Like I said,
Yeah,
I'm extremely here for it if someone figures out how to do that.
I actually feel like the problem is different from what you guys are describing, where like I think that there's plenty of good writers that exist, and there are plenty of people that make these games. So like that confluence of talent, like I have no trouble believing that could happen. I think the problem is just that these style of games do not lend to the both the kind of person and just the overall like feel that like between runs you want to sit there and read like 3 pages of fucking text. It
I
sort
mean,
of like belies the whole thing.
Hades 1 could have been Vampire Survivors in gameplay. Like, just think of
You're
something like
right.
that.
It is closer than I thought it was, but oh no.
I think another thing that these games need to do more is also lumping the narrative into the runs. Like, how
Yeah.
many fucking roguelikes actually do that? I legitimately can't think of any. But like, imagine you're just in your AFK mode in like actual Vampire Survivors, and there's just like an Expedition 33 style fucking cutscene playing while everything is exploding on your screen. That would be the best of both worlds. Like Jordan, you were describing earlier how you just turned on a fucking movie while you were
Yeah.
playing the game. What if you were just playing a movie?
That would be sick. I don't think any even AA studio is going to even try to do that, but I would be extremely here for anything, any high budget Vampire Survivors game for sure.
I just oh no.
Yeah, it's not happening.
I like
It's
I
not
understand like it's very oh no, it's just so much wishful thinking to me because like there's just certain like genres like I'm just trying to imagine like something like a Pac-Man. There's no way you could put the writer of Expedition 33 on it and have it be compelling. I think it's
I
literally impossible inherently because
look.
of the like gameplay loop.
Pac-Man's got a
I
sick
think
story. You
that
take that back.
I think
Agreed
that
with
people
Ben.
would have said the same thing about Sokubans ages ago, and then fucking Void Stranger came out. So
Very true.
I don't know.
Yeah, but that's kind of different. Like, if Void Stranger was nothing but a Sokoban game the entire way through, then maybe, but it's not.
I'm just saying. I think there's room there. I think the genre is going to get
Sure, yeah,
a lot of experimentation.
there's absolutely room for it. I just think whoever does it is like so like to go back again to the Silk Song example because this was in my head. I was thinking it while I was speaking on the game, but like the strength of that game is the way that it doesn't like necessarily overwhelm you with like plot and story outside of a few moments here and there, but it does like probably 70% ish maybe of its overall like world building and plot building through just like environmental storytelling. And there is absolutely no fucking reason at all that a game like this couldn't tell a story with like a little bit of interstitial dialogue, like emphasis on a little bit, and then a lot of it of environmental storytelling. It's just no one does it because it's fucking hard.
Dialogue during gameplay is something that I don't think these games do enough of, for sure.
Yeah, and I
Like
think
the-
you can also do a lot of interesting stuff with the background too.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if the genre needs like a game to legitimize it first or whatever, because it feels like Metroidvanias kind of have that, and like JRPGs have always had that. Like, does somebody need to do it first? Like, I don't know what's really holding it back.
Unfortunately, I feel like the biggest thing holding that back is Vampire Survivors because like that entire game, like I don't know, when it was introduced to me, it was like, oh yeah, it's got all this like serotonin. You open a chest and it's like a billion things flying out at you. It's like I feel like that as an introduction to the genre is gonna like attract. It's not going to attract the kind of person that's looking for like a complex narrative. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think that those things are also true because like these games like and that's I think what Ben and I were trying to say is that these games are nothing but dopamine junk food and like the type of people who will get maximal enjoyment from these games are the type of people who don't read books because they literally can't. And so like you don't need a complex narrative when you're incapable of reading a book, you know?
Yeah, and also to that point, like I think that if you were to put in that kind of narrative, I think of like Monster Train 2 where I'm gonna hate it because you put the story in there.
I mean I don't disagree with I don't necessarily disagree with either of the things you guys are saying, but at the same time, Thomas, I had trouble when you were saying that, and I was thinking about like all the people that said that like video games were, or like movies or TV shows or video games were for people who can't read. I feel like that was a big thing before they got like huge. Video
See,
games, at least.
the thing is, you're interpreting me as saying that it can't be done, and I'm just saying it probably won't be done because, like, the Venn diagram of people who care about both of those things is not like there's not a ton of overlap there. I'm not saying it'll never be done or that it can't be done. I'm just saying like the incentive to do it isn't there.
My personal feeling is that like it literally can't be done, but I know that speaking so absolutely is technically incorrect. So what I will say is that it's technically possible, but functionally impossible.
I think it's just a factor of time. I think it'll happen. I just don't know how long it'll take.
I'm more towards Ben's side, but I think it's mostly just because with how many of these games that there are, it seems like it's just getting saturated by people like baby's first like designed game, and then once you have like a team or money behind you, you try to make something bigger and more grand where these games are very like simple. So like why would you spend a lot on something that's already like so watered down?
Yeah, I mean it's like it's the same concept for why there isn't like people have been making idle games now for like more than a decade, right? But I even though I've played hundreds of idle games, I cannot tell you a single one that has a narrative that is worth even like a fucking modicum of shit because like the overlap between people who enjoy idle games and people who enjoy complex narratives and people who will like produce both of those things is so insanely like disparate that it's
Yeah.
just very unlikely to happen. Not impossible. And there are idle games that people do actually like the story in, but the game sucks, so I don't play them. But like it's not that it's an impossibility, it's just like the likelihood of it happening is so it's like finding life in the universe, you know? There's probably a shitload of life out there on planets out there in the fucking vastness of space. We just can't fucking find them cuz the odds are so stacked against us.
The truth is out there, Thomas.
If you give it time, then eventually there will be like a talented enough developer who will want to make something like that, kind of like the Void Stranger thing, right? So I think eventually it will happen, but expect most of the games to just be slopamine bullshit.
Yeah. Slopamine? Nice.
Like, yeah, I don't think we're ever gonna get like a truly like Expedition 33 near Automata style narrative, like in terms of quality out of this. But I do think we'll probably get something like a Void Stranger. I think that is very likely.
For sure. It would be sick if Yoko Taro's next game is a Vampire Survivors kind of game, though.
Oh my god, I would be so happy. or if he just like does the thing like he did with Nier Automata, is like those games are like at least 1/4 bullet hell. Just make it at least 1/4 Vampire Survivors.
That would be sick.
I think the main wrench that's thrown into that formula is actually the roguelike aspect. 'Cause if you take that out, I think you could actually maybe shoehorn in a story, but like the roguelike part of it kind of fucks it, I think.
You
Maybe.
just gotta find a good enough hook, I think. Like how Hades kind of has the hook, and like there's certain
Yeah.
roguelikes that where like the hook works and makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good point. I take that back.
It's just hard. Like to your point, it's very difficult to get that whole package of everything, and then not having dialogue that's so annoying that you don't want to interface with it, right? With like the Monster Train 2 problem.
Yeah, I just think that there's such a like those two things are just working at odds with each other because these games are just nothing but like dopamine straight to the brain because I think that these games are like predatory and bad for the universe, but like there's a huge push and pull between wanting to maximize that aspect, which is the stuff that like it's the reason people actually play these games versus the pull of a narrative that will detract from the stuff that makes these games bad for the universe.
Not counting the only game in the genre I'm aware of that has microtransactions, which is Soulstone Survivors. What is it about this genre that you find predatory?
Oh my god. Do you want me to soliloquy? I wrote a lot, but I wasn't going to read it.
You
Sure.
can self-edit, whatever you want to say.
All right. So the thing that got me thinking about that was as I was sitting there playing Ball X Pit the other night, and I was playing the game, and like we've kind of been talking about a little bit, I was sitting there thinking like, is this a game I can just idly play while I've got something up on the second monitor? Because like I think I was watching The Pit, and I was like, I'm gonna play Ball X Pit and watch The Pit,
Nice.
but my initial reaction to that was like, nah, not really, because there's just like too much focus involved for me in Ball X Pit versus like something like Slay the Spire or Once Upon a Galaxy or whatever, where I can like pause and pay attention. And like I can't split my attention. Like my brain is just not capable of doing that when something requires focus, even as little focus as something like this game. So I'm sitting there playing it, and like, if you were to be looking over my shoulder, like, the game just looks like pure chaos. Like, there's all of these fucking numbers flying haphazardly all over the place. There's all of these fucking colorful explosions. The sounds are popping off like every goddamn millisecond, and there's just so much happening in this game all at once. And the realization that hit me as I was sitting there is that inside of my brain, it was just total silence, like complete and utter static, just total void. No thoughts, no real focus of any kind, just the pure rush of dopamine satisfying my fucking lizard brain. So that was when I like stopped and paused and asked myself, like, are these games like predatory even if they aren't asking for my credit card? And so I feel like we've kind of conditioned ourselves to think that predatory means loot boxes or $20 skins or pay to win or whatever, but Ball X Pit only cost me a few bucks and it never really asked me for another dime. So technically that's like it's fair, right? Which is when I thought about the fact that this game had me trapped inside of a fucking Skinner box. Like I'm a rat in a cage pulling a lever that sometimes gives me food and sometimes doesn't because the reward is random and me, the rat, doesn't know when that pellet is coming, so I'm just gonna fucking pull that shit until I fucking collapse. So again, I'm the fucking rat. And like once you realize that the builds in this game are a bit shallow and simple, there's not a whole lot of like meaningful tactical decisions or even coordinated gameplay. I'm not analyzing some complex narrative like we've been talking about, or I'm not really agonizing over the three choices on the screen. I'm kind of just looking for the same set of like four or five things that I know will win me the run. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just pulling a fucking lever. Click. Did I get the gut? Did I get the god run? Nope. Click. Did I get the upgrade I was looking for? Nope. Click. Jackpot. Dopamine hit. Good boy. And that is why I think the word predatory fits in this game to a degree, because it's stealing my ability to actually enjoy things. Like I thought back, and this is kind of like maybe outside the scope. This is why I wasn't really gonna launch into this whole thing, because I was thinking back to all the complaining that I've seen people do about Pluribus, the TV show. Like how that show is, people call it slow, they call it boring. Like everyone's so fucking mad that this lady isn't like pulling out an AK-47 and gunning down everyone in sight. But that's because games like this rewire your fucking brain to need that constant high frequency stimulation. And so things like Pluribus or like reading a book or even to like a lesser extent playing a fucking JRPG, they require some degree of friction between your patience and your dopamine receptors. So like they will ask you to wait for that payoff. They will say, "Okay, you're going to have to slog through some slow stuff for a little bit, but I promise you at the end of this tunnel there's going to be something that's going to be worth the wait." And that is a good thing for humans to have. That it's good to be bored. It's healthy to be bored. But games like this remove that friction entirely, and all that you are left with is just this pure, refined sugar rush. And when you've been doing nothing but eating sugar by the spoonful for the last 6 hours, then a fucking apple ain't gonna taste sweet no more. And I worry that playing games like this too much is gonna get your brain to the point where ain't nothing gonna feel sweet unless you are just constantly tucked into that high frequency dopamine rush. And that's my soliloquy.
I've been snacking on gummy worms this entire time, and I love this game.
I think that's true to some extent, but I don't think that it's going to like rewire your brain. I think that you will just like what this game gives you, but if you like the other things as well, then you'll also like it. And yeah, I think AAA games and handholdy stuff is more of a threat than Vampire Survivors to like friction games.
Why? Because I feel like this is just like the distilled version of that stuff.
I mean, this game still has friction, right? The base building. That's why I literally think it's there. I literally think it's there to give you a amount of friction that's not in the moment to moment gameplay.
Yeah, that's actually a solid point. I do agree with that. But that's also very brief, right? Like that's only a minute or two most of the time.
Yeah, and I think there will always be if a game could do it well, like introduce friction well, then that game will always be like peak, right? Because people like the struggle, they don't just always like the rewards. That's why like FromSoft is a profitable company now. So
I mean, I don't
uh
know if that's true though, because yes, FromSoft is absolutely a profitable company, but are they as profitable as like I don't know, fucking XYZ stupid ass mobile game that like 62-year-old moms are playing on their couch while they watch the latest episode of Desperate Housewives or whatever. Like that shit makes way more money and that's way more like brain turned off than FromSoft stuff.
yeah. I think mobile games are definitely much more of a threat than games like this are too, because I mean those are games that have like literal teams of psychologists to figure out how to keep players playing them. So those are definitely
Oh yeah.
scary and are definitely a problem. The Vampire Survivor games aren't helping, but I don't think they're hurting as much as those like actual predatory
I
Yeah, and I
doctors.
mean if we're
I feel like they're
like
way closer than like you're giving them credit for though.
if we're talking strictly in a predatorial sense, not necessarily like what it's doing to the human psyche, I think those like gotcha mobile games are way more predatory in that way because they're literally I mean they are a Skinner
Yeah,
box, right? They are
yeah,
the rat in the
that's
cage
that's
trying
just
not to get
literally
shocked.
that's just preying on gambling addiction. That's
Yeah.
like obviously terrible
Yeah.
for people.
And so like a game like this where it has a little bit of that friction in between your runs where like if I want to activate my brain, I can and I can like reorganize everything optimally and like from that point we can talk about the quality of the game if you wanted to do that. I don't think the game would be very high if you want to do that, but it is there. Or I can just shut off my brain and just let the thing go or I can mega shut off my brain and just let it play the game for me. But I don't know. I felt like this game was a little bit less predatory from a psychological sense, even compared to something like Vampire Survivors, which literally is like flashing the fucking like lotto gold drops at you when you
Yeah.
open a chest. I don't know. This game felt a little bit more stylistic to me. It felt a little bit more artsy. So
Now,
I don't know. I didn't
I,
really
I
feel
will
as strongly about
say
that.
I will say that I do think that this game is to a lesser degree than the ones we've been talking about, but I also did frame this question as these games, not this game.
Yeah, I think to some extent every game is trying to figure out how to get more players to play it. So in that
Yep.
sense, yes. It's just a matter of is it bad for society slash the industry from the things that you're doing. And I don't think these games are.
It's just about the tactics that they use, not just to get you playing, but to keep you playing. Like the
Sure.
keep you playing part is the thing that I think is dangerous. Like I don't think there's like sure if you want to make an argument against like advertisements and those like weird mobile game advertisements that aren't actually the game, like yeah, that's like definitely a predatory weird way to get you to actually step foot into the game. But the real problem starts once you do that and what games do to keep you inside of that zone.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put it this way: like Jordan brought up the idea of AAA games doing this and them being a bigger problem to the industry as a whole because of it. And I think that's absolutely true. And the reason that I think that is because a game like this or a game like Vampire Survivors or Soulstone Survivors or whatever, it is not giving you the illusion that you're using your brain. If I'm playing a AAA game where it's telling me to go to this waypoint and then I watch a cutscene where nothing interesting is said and then a new character joins my party, but they're just a carbon copy of the last three party members that I got, my brain is fooled into thinking that I thought about something when it was just spoon fed slopped into my mouth. This game is just like listen, I can respect a casino because it knows what it is. It's not trying to be anything other than it like what it is. And so like if you have a gambling addiction, yeah, that's going to be a problem, but seek help if you do, I guess.
See, I don't agree with that though. I think like casinos absolutely know what they are, and they lean into that shit to get you to stay in there. Like, there's a reason why, like, drinks are free in Las Vegas. They don't give a fuck about spending money on watered down well whiskey. They just want you to keep fucking sitting there drinking and gambling.
Yes, but I think in that sense, a casino is more ethical than a mobile game.
I
Mobile games
don't
sell to
agree with any of
kids.
that, mostly because in actual gambling, you're chasing losses, whereas it's literally impossible in a video game because you know going into it that you're just burning your money away.
I mean, I think it's still true in mobile games because I'm thinking specifically of something like Candy Crush. Like when I think of predatory games, that's like the number one that I think of, and that is literally like you're not getting anything with the money that you put into it. You are getting attempts at a level that you know that you're just gonna like burn in a quarter of a
Yeah, I
second.
guess I guess my perspective is just too different because you guys see that as like something to like fight off against, whereas I just see it as like natural selection.
Yeah, I mean that's Ben brings up a really good point, right? So we're basically just talking about dark patterns, which is like login rewards for games and stuff like that. But like the question the answer that Ben just gave is, are dark patterns actually bad? Is that a bad thing to have? And like some of them are, but then like it just comes down to like
I
what are your
mean,
moral system?
I think that, like, by and large, yes, I think that manipulating people into act in ways that they wouldn't without your product in a way that ends up being detrimental to them is, I mean, that's literally a crime. It's called entrapment. Like, a cop can't walk up to you and be like, hey, buy my weed, bitch, or I'm gonna fucking hit you. That's not legal. And I don't feel like these like predatory MTX games are like a very huge degree of separation away from that idea.
I don't agree, or I do agree when we're referencing actually spending money. Like I said I respect the casino thing, but it's still in the context of like all of these things are terrible for humans as a whole. I just uh appreciate the devil that tells me he's a devil rather than the one that doesn't. But all of that is in the context of stuff where you're actually spending your money. This is a game that is not asking me to spend my money, so I care a little bit less.
Yeah, see, and I mean that's the thing, right? Is like there's levels to it, and if this game had like weird microtransaction structure, I'd feel much more strongly about it. It's like it's more of a debate about whether or not a game like this is like good to exist for humanity writ large, whereas I don't really think there's a debate about if Candy Crush is good to exist. That's just
M-
bad.
Maybe this question isn't relevant, but if this game required more or had like more of a skill cap requirement, would you feel the same?
Where how does the skill cap manifest in like
Like,
dexterity or
so,
like
yeah,
tactical thought?
that's a good question because I guess you could apply those to different parts of this game. Because like if we're talking about from like the actual runs where like the disparity between the radicalist and you actually playing is so great that you like if you need to progress in the post game you actually have to play yourself and you can like god gamer it, whereas like if you're talking about the base building then yeah I guess it'd be more tactical where like you have to set up like your pachinko machine to make sure you get like x amount of gold every harvest and stuff like that.
I guess my answer to that would be even though I asked the clarifying question, I don't think it really matters. I think anything that actually engages your brain underneath its dopamine receptors in order to like apply itself in a meaningful way, whether that is through um, like concentration and focus via dexterity, or whether that is like getting your neurons to fire in a way that exercises your pathways a little bit because you have to like make difficult decisions. Either of those things are good, and neither of those things are present in these games. IMO.
That yeah, when you explain it that way, it actually makes a lot of sense because like during a lot of this discussion, I was thinking about like how is like something like NGU idle exempt from this, but when I think about it, you can there's probably like communities where like people debate on like the best like build orders and
Yeah,
shit for
yeah, yeah,
NGU
yeah.
idle, whereas because this game is so easy that the radicalists can just choose random power ups and beat the game for you, like no one's on the fucking bollocks pit forums, like debating which power up is the best, because it literally just doesn't fucking matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Like I guess the way that I would compare a game like this to something else would be just like doom scrolling Reddit or Twitter or whatever. Maybe not doom scrolling. Like if you're just like scrolling through like politics or some shit, that's just actively bad for you. But just like mindlessly scrolling through like cat pictures and like memes and shit like that. Like is that like an inherently insidious thing for humans to be doing? I mean, not intrinsically, but there's bad aspects to it, I would say.
I think it also completely depends on the person because, like, for some people, escapism could actually be really important.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say that something like this for, you know, your ADHD addled brains such as myself, it's probably not a good thing. But, you know, sometimes I just want to get through the workday.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly it, right? Like if you're like, I just got wrecked by watching the opening cutscene in Clair Obscur, let me go play Ball X Pit because I don't really want to think that much after working all day. Like I think that both kind of style of games have like a place in games.
Yeah, and if something is going to allow me that option while also not telling me to spend $10 every time I log in, then
Yeah.
I think my answer to Thomas's question would be no.
Yeah, because I mean, like that's like the Chris gamer, right? Like Chris doesn't want to like go through his like stressful life and then sit down at the end of the day with a stressful video game. He just wants
Yeah.
to play low stakes shit that's just going to bring his mood up.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sure that's like most people.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. It definitely is, but is that a good thing? That's the question. It may be good. It may be good for them in the moment. It may feel good. In fact, it does feel good. That's the whole point of these games is to feel good. But over a 80-year lifespan, is it good for you? I don't think so.
Well, let me turn the question back on you with some real shit. Something I think about a lot. Maybe this is too personal for the podcast. I think a lot about I think it was like a single time that our dad went to a therapy session. And I think something that was recommended to him when he was going through a lot of shit that I'm not going to say is like my dad is someone who would blast his radio at work, and he would do it loud enough that he like didn't really need to think, or at least that's what he told his therapist. And his therapist basically said like, yeah, don't do that. You should like try to think through some of your thoughts instead of drowning it out with music. And so the question back to Thomas, I mean, like, do you think that that is a bad thing? Is listening to music to not think about the bad thoughts in your head a bad thing?
Yes. Yes, that's bad. That's being a volumetric shit compressor so that you don't have to deal with reality when at some point you are going to be forced to deal with reality whether you like it or not.
But what if it's, and I'm just like tossing out hypotheticals, but like, what if it's so bad that you're like at your job for 8 hours and you're trying to focus on your work, but you can't because the thoughts are so bad, but you're going to process them when you go home. You're going to like have that conversation with your wife that you've been needing to have. You're going to like fucking balance your checkbook to alleviate some stress, but you can't do that while you're at work. So is it
Oh,
a bad
yeah.
thing that you have that option while you're there?
Is it bad if you are doing it here and there just to like take a break to like literally just take a break? No. That's the entire idea of a vacation. I'm not going to sit here and tell you vacations are bad, but a permanent vacation where you just refuse to deal with reality because it's too difficult and you would rather just drown it out with noise, that is very much bad.
Yeah, and that's why my answer to your question is what it is. I'm glad that these games are in the space. If you are someone who can only play Vampire Survivors and nothing else, and that's all you do every day, that's probably pretty bad for your brain. But I think it's good to have just like a nice, easy, chill game that I can watch a movie while I'm playing. I like to have that option.
I feel like this is like two different arguments. So this is like a like kind of a weird false dichotomy because like that works for you, sure, but I guarantee you there are millions and millions and millions of people out there who only play Vampire Survivors and these other like dopa slop games like Candy Crush and shit. It's great that you don't. It's great that you don't have to like totally ignore or like shove reality off to the side through games like this, but there are a lot of people who do not have that same level of self-control. Just like there are people who don't have the same level of self-control to walk into a casino and not like spend all the money in their bank account and then some.
Well, just to be clear with my side, it becomes a very different factor when it's like manipulating you into spending your money. That is different for me. But no, I mean, what I'm saying is that if you are doing that, if that is all you're doing, then it's not a good thing. But if you are capable of self control, then it's good to have in the space. So, like, I don't know, be China, regulate people's time on games.
Yeah, but most video games are used to displace reality now.
Not all. Some, yes. But again, my entire argument hinges upon that's not a healthy thing. And these games lean into that quality like much more than some, not to the degree that something like a predatory mobile or gacha game does, but still touches on the same like brain pathways.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to if you like what you think is bad, right? Because I mean, Seth keeps saying money, and everybody who has money says the most important resource is time, right? And then so all of these games are basically trying to take up your time. So arguably, could that be worse if you value time more than money?
But I don't know. I feel like this is not the first time we've had this conversation or something related to it, and it feels like when you take it to like the far end, it would involve removing a lot of things from society that I'm glad that I have. So I don't know. I'm always gonna end up in the same spot where it's like, are these things bad and successful because they prey on people with no self control? Yes. Am I a victim of that? Probably at least a little bit, but I think it's still good to have something that you can struggle against to develop self control and then have it as an option.
Yeah, I'm just always going to have the boomer take of I think that like these big like $1 million+ companies manipulating people into using their product and fucking up their brain chemistry is just a net bad no matter what, even if I enjoy it. I'm addicted to Reddit. I've been using that shit 20 years and I can't figure out how to fucking quit it like Brokeback Mountain or some shit, but that doesn't mean that I think that's good. I think that website is a horrendous cesspool of AI farming content to just make Chat GPT better, but I don't think that's a good thing, but I can't stop using it.
I'll take a page from the Ben book here and say rip bozo to those people.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of just trying to hold my tongue 'cause it's so heartless to say, but like I just think about because like to like kind of like piggyback off of Seth's point about like money. That's it could be bad even if it's not about money because I think about like those stories where like someone literally dies because they played an MMO too long that they forget to eat, they just die, and like if I take Thomas's perspective, that's we should be like protecting and defending those people. But if I'm taking my heart's genuine perspective, I'm just thinking that he got naturally selected.
See,
God.
I think the difference there though is that like if that kind of thing was happening like in mass, right? Like if you had thousands and thousands of people who were just dying from like malnourishment because they couldn't stop playing fucking Final Fantasy 69 or whatever. But that's not a thing. That's just like a few crazy outlier cases, and you're always going to have like people who live on the fringe who do like stupid crazy shit, but gambling addiction is not on the fringe. Gambling addiction is like a very like real fucking thing that is like getting significantly worse with the advent of sports betting and shit. But I don't know. I
I
guess
figured
I
out
just
why
think that society should always try to tend in a direction that is like a net positive for the people that live in it.
I think I figured out why I feel the way I feel, and Ben helped me get there. And it's because I think with a lot of these things, with regards to like escapism, well, I'll focus specifically on escapism and not like gambling addiction. I think with escapism for people, it's going to be deterministic. Like if you are going through some really fucked up shit and you want to escape, you're gonna find a way to escape. Does that mean that like the ways to escape should be provided to you instead of dealing with the problem? Maybe not. Maybe. I don't know. It can be like sometimes it can be effective, but it can also be taken to the wrong end. But like I just think that it doesn't matter if it's video games or books or TV shows or whatever. I think that if someone's looking to disassociate from reality, they're going to find something, and it's better to dissociate with a game like Vampire Survivors than dumping all your money at a casino.
Well, yeah, obviously, but again, that's the false dichotomy, or I guess that's more of a straw man. But regardless, uh, the argument is not what's worse, gambling addiction or Vampire Survivors, because like that answer is like self-evident, obviously.
No, I mean that's not even like the bigger point that I was trying to make. The point is like, if someone is going to escape, unless we outlaw escapism, how am I going to stop them from doing that? Because they're going to find a way to do it.
I mean, it's the degree to which, like, it's the degree to which we build a society that fosters that escapism. That's the whole heart of what I'm getting at here. Yes, people are always going to find ways to escape from reality. Like alcoholism has existed for as long as alcohol has existed, which is basically the entire history of humanity. I don't think we should outlaw alcohol. I think that we should build a society that dissuades people from becoming alcoholics, much like we should build a society that dissuades people from having to exist moment to moment in their like reality escapism. I mean, that's not easy. That's like a highly conceptual thing, obviously. But what I'm saying is that I feel like we are trending in more of a direction where there's more and more of these Vampire Survivors games because they are so good at shutting your brain off and not having you think about fucking shit. And more people are imbibing in them. And I don't think that that is a good thing for humanity to be just engaging in things like this on a mass scale that is becoming more and more frequent.
I mean, maybe another way of saying what I was saying too is that, like, I mean, it is what you're saying, but like, I don't think that Vampire Survivor being popular is like we're kind of talking about it in the direction of Vampire Survivor is abusing the people who play it in the way that you've been describing, but really it's in like the opposite way. Like, I think the Vampire Survivor is popular because of how society is right now with regards to their media consumption. Like, that doesn't mean it's a good thing that it exists, but it's like it feels like more of a product of it rather than the other way around.
Yeah, I'm definitely not trying to say that like Vampire Survivors was made in a predatory, manipulative fashion. Because I mean that game was just made by one dude, right? That dude didn't know what the fuck he was doing. It's just like the byproduct of that is what it is.
Yeah, but to Seth's point, wouldn't just like literally every video game be negative in that way?
No, no, why? Because not all video games are made equal. Like Fate Stay Night is not gonna like trigger the same parts of your brain that Vampire Survivors is.
I think you would say that every mobile game and every MMO would be a negative, though.
I guess,
Any
yeah, to
any
narrow it
any
down.
game, any game where your brain just shuts off and becomes nothing but the static on the television is the ones that are problematic.
That could be any
Games,
game, right? Like any game that you
no,
can get into like a Zen state, which is like almost every game, depending on
no,
the activity in the game.
a flow state is not the same thing as your brain being shut off. It's just your brain going into autopilot because you are like hyper focused on a task that you have practiced ad infinitum. That's very different from your brain just going into autopilot because there's no complex decisions to be made. Like there's complex decisions every millisecond of a Rocket League game, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to be able to get into a flow state where like my brain operates automatically.
So for me, what you're describing of where you're not thinking anything, that's why I think, to bring it back to Paul X Pit, that this game was kind of boring. Because I was like, I need something else to do because this game just wasn't doing it for me. So I don't have that like addictive nature that you're saying comes from this game. I think this game is like a supplement to other things that you will be doing. I don't think that this game has that like the pull. I don't even think Vampire Survivors has the pull that like mobile games and MMOs have to be able to like manipulate people into play them more.
Yeah,
I,
but
I agree and disagree. I think that Vampire Survivors does. I don't think this game does.
I also think Jordan has a very specific brain chemistry that renders him fucking like immune to the type of shit that we're talking about here.
I mean, I definitely fall into MMOs and like mobile game stuff. It's just for some reason these games are too nothing for me to get dark patterned by.
Yeah, that just means your brain hasn't been poisoned yet. That's a good thing.
No, I'm poisoned. I'm just poisoned by like the strong stuff. You can't give me this weak shit.
I think that all of us that spend greater than like how many would that be? Greater than like 20 hours or so on Discord every week are probably poisoned than significantly more poisoned than the average American.
Oh yeah. Dude,
Oh, yeah.
do you guys look at the Steam review, whatever it's called, where it's like average
Yeah.
people played 4 games this year. You played, it's like 380, and I was like, huh.
Yeah, but let's take a look at their phones.
I mean,
That's a
usually
good
those
point.
people they only play one game though. They play Honky Star Rail. They play the Clash Royale. They play one game for 10,000 hours.
Sure.
Candy Crush.
I'm not sure if that's like a bad thing, depending on what the game is, though.
I mean, that's more of like an escapism, get your hooks in you than playing Ball X Pit for 20 hours over the course of 2 weeks, I think.
Also, I would also make the argument that mobile games are worse for society compared to like a console or a PC game specifically because you can just roll that shit out in public instead of like
Oh, sure.
socializing or something along those lines.
Yeah, the access of them definitely changes the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's bring it back to ball pit here. Let's just move into the next meta question here. So, do you guys think that pick 3 games are officially like, in your mind anyway? Are you done with them? Can we retire them, or do you think that there's like still way more room for expression and interesting design?
I think in terms of like creative design and pushing the envelope, it's pretty much gone to where it's going to be. But I'm personally not necessarily tired of them. Like I'm going to keep playing them. Like it doesn't offend me as much as I think you guys dislike them. Maybe like I'm pretty indifferent to them. They're just there. They kind of work well naturally with like the rule of 3, where it just is pretty intuitive and just plugs into like a lot of different games.
Yeah, I feel kind of similar. Like, I don't think I've played a single game of this type that hasn't been at least like a 6 out of 10 in terms of my enjoyment. I think that's even true of the games we've played for this podcast. So I don't know, like games like Ball X Pit specifically kind of impressed me in terms of what it was doing compared to those other pick 3 roguelikes. So I kind of disagree with Ben. I think there's still plenty that this genre can do, and we already talked about the narrative stuff.
Yeah,
So
but specifically with the pick 3, I guess I'm talking about specifically the screen where 3 options appear and you pick one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That is what I mean.
Like that specific mechanic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus Dead Estate, where you get what you get, bitch. Make it work.
I think you could do some crazy stuff. Like there's none of these games that I've played where it gives you like for an example, it gives you like a pre-evolved ball or something like that. I haven't played a game that does that, just as a quick example.
I will say that I think that pick 3 to me usually ends up just kind of being like a less interesting choice than just kind of getting stuff, like as in Risk of Rain, and then you have systems around to swap it out. But I'm not going to be like, oh, it's a pick 3 roguelike next. I'll just be like, you won't get points for coming up with an interesting system if you go with a pick 3 style. Like I don't hate it. I'm sick of seeing it, but it's not going to disqualify a game for me.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like if I said that we had to retire them and I'm sick of them, I would have to reconcile with the fact that Slay the Spire 2 is coming out soon.
True.
Is it actually? Does it have a release date?
Soon TM,
It's this
I think
year.
is what Tom meant.
I thought it was supposed to. Steam page says March 2026.
Oh my god.
Why do I feel like there's a delay coming?
Until they put the date, that might as well say 2026, not with the March in front of it, because yeah, that's not very strong. But yeah, who knows?
Yeah, like I mean, it's entirely possible that Slay the Spire 2 is literally just like Slay the Spire 1, but more. In which case, like, I don't know.
It's fine with me.
Maybe you can still count it as a retirement, I guess, because it's just a sequel to a retired game. I'm fine with it.
I mean, the thing with Slay the Spire is that it's just like the most perfectly balanced game of all time, and that's kind of lightning in a bottle. Haha, that's a Slay the Spire pun, by the way. But I think that's hard to do twice, but I really fucking hope they can.
Yeah, that's the big thing with the pick 3, right? Like if you don't have a balanced system and there's always a correct choice, then it's like the worst thing to interface with ever. Versus if you have an imbalanced system, but I can only pick one, then it doesn't feel nearly as bad.
Yeah, like the problem with this game is that everything was so self-evidently better than everything else, where it was
Exactly.
just like, okay, I know what to pick, and if it's not there, I'm gonna click
Well,
reroll.
Yep.
it's kind of weird though, because like in this game, I was talking earlier how I felt like I kind of felt like I had more and more options to do what I needed to do the more I progressed, partially probably because of the meta progression. But like games like Slay the Spire are pretty different from that, aren't they? Because like the higher ascensions you're climbing, the more restricted you are in terms of like what you can actually do to finish a run.
Yeah,
I'm not
'cause,
actually that good at Slay the Spire, so I don't know if that's true.
I mean, the thing with Slay the Spire is like it's got this like same structure as a game like this, at least in terms of the decisions that you have to make. It's just that the like layers of complexity and the like thinking ahead that you have to do is so wildly difficult compared to a game like this, where in a game like this you really only have to think about the next 5 seconds. And it's just, did I find the evolution pair that I need? Nope, click reroll. Did I find it? Nope, click reroll.
Yeah.
Whereas Slay the
Well, like
Spire, you have to be thinking like, okay, I'm in Act 1. This card's really good against Lagavulin. This card's really good against the Act 1 boss. This card's really good against the Heart. What do I have to pick? Okay, I probably have to pick the Lagavulin card because there's a high degree that I'll just die if I don't. And like there's all of these like branching patterns of thought that you have to have that is just not present in a game
yeah,
like this.
yeah. Like what I'm trying to say is that in Bollock's Pit, I felt like I had to choose the vertical laser at the start of the game. That feeling went away completely by the end of the game. I felt like I had complete like open creativity to do what I wanted to do by the end of the game, to the point where I was just like pursuing hard evolutions because I thought it was fun. In Slay the Spire, you're definitely right in that it's like provoking more of thought that you have to do in order to actually like progress the ascensions. But what I'm trying to say is that if you make that assumption as true, that like you quote unquote need to pick this, or this is the best option to pick in this scenario, isn't that functionally it's kind of a weird thought, but isn't it kind of reducing options that would lead to a victory at that point? In the opposite way that Ball Pit is?
Wait, I'm confused.
It's
Restate that question.
Maybe you can tell me if I'm misunderstanding, but basically you're saying it's more restrictive because you have to be more meta the harder the game gets.
Yeah, but that's not true in Ball Pit, or at least I didn't feel that way.
I think the key difference is that what to me, here's what it sounds like. It sounds like you got to the point of the game where you got enough upgrades that your decisions didn't matter anymore because you were just too powerful. Whereas I was at a point in the game, pretty much the entire game, where I was just looking for the same like 5 icons to click most of the time. And in both of those cases, there's no decision to be made. Uh, Whereas in Slay the Spire, there's tons of decisions.
Do you guys want to go on to ratings?
Sure.
Sure, I can't think of anything else.
Oh, I forgot. Wait, hold on. I forgot to find a funny way to decide who's going to go. I wonder if I can find a quick pachinko machine.
You should fart, and then the amount of milliseconds of the fart is who has to go.
How are we quantifying that?
What do you mean? 0 to 50 is you, 50 to 100 is me.
I can't do this super quickly, but Thomas made a big poop before this, so Thomas, you can go first.
Sure.
I feel
Well,
like I
had the man
rated
make a bigger
everyone
poop?
super high.
You feel what?
I feel like I overrated everyone's rating.
No,
I don't think I did.
I feel like I did not talk about this game's positives as much as I would have liked, because I did like this game, and that's like one of the reasons for that is because like I mentioned the juice a lot, right? This game understands the juice better than like 90% of AAA titles. I felt like everything about playing this game feels like really satisfying. Like the way everything is ricochet, the fucking crits, the volume of visual noise on a good run, like things just become kind of hypnotic and like in a way that's good for me, not for humanity, as we discussed. But just like the lizard brain delights in this game, and there's a lot of things I liked about this game. The fusion system, I thought was actually like something we didn't really talk about a whole lot, but I thought it was kind of neat to where, unlike in Vampire Survivors, where once you reach those like evolutionary skills, like they're pretty much locked in. Obviously, not all in all cases, but in most cases. So I thought that the way that you could get those level 3 evolutions and then fuse them together created a lot more like dynamic play loops, and could create these like just really crazy runs, because like the way that you were limited was not very much, to be honest with you. So there was just like a lot of psycho shit that you could do that felt like it was just a blast, like at all times. And it, I think an important thing in a game like this is to feel distinct from its peers. And to me, this game felt like it had a very like it did enough to where it has its own little like outpoking of the genre that lends itself to having its own identity. And I think that that's like really important, because like even though Vampire Survivors is fun, and like even though I enjoyed a game like I forget what it's called, that the Deep Rock Galactic Vampire Survivors, I enjoyed that game. I would give that game a low rating if I played it, just because it's like I've done this shit. But this game eked out its own like niche in a way that I thought like deserved merit. But obviously, there's some bad stuff. The base building just kind of felt like this shitty mobile game that was like really tedious and kind of got in the way of like the fun parts of this game. The balance was a huge problem, because I was just looking for the same few icons to click, and if I didn't see those, I just clicked reroll, and if I didn't see them, the run took a path that either I died or I struggled, and I don't know. That kind of loop isn't like great to me. Where yeah, it just the balance just sucked. And for a game that relies on chaos as much as this one did, we didn't talk about this either, but the bosses were like really kind of boring, static sponges. Like the mini bosses were way harder than the bosses, but it's definitely a fun little piece of video game. Like this is a video game ass video game, to be sure. It's definitely flawed. The meta progression is a little too grindy, but it's not like Hades 2 where it made me want to actually kill myself. The base building stuff is kind of a mess, but once you're in the fun, and the fun is the majority of the game, it sure as shit is just that like hypnotic brain shut off type shit, which, as mentioned earlier, not good for people, but it's fun. This won't strike the same degree of like time suck that something like Vampire Survivors did or Slay the Spire did, because unlike Vampire Survivors, I couldn't really play this game like fully shut off, or unlike Slay the Spire, there's just not enough depth to really stay engaging. But this game was an absolute fucking blast and a really great way to spend a weekend. And for that, I'm going to give this game 8 out of 10.
Oh, so close.
Got it.
Jordan
Ish.
got
I
it.
thought I guessed 8.5. Shit. Yeah, fully
Points.
agreed on that.
Finally.
Fully agreed on that first point about the ball evolution stuff. I thought that was a really cool addition. I was very happy when I realized that.
Definitely the mini bosses are harder than the bosses too. The bosses, like I'd never died to a boss even close because
Yeah.
they're so trivial. But the mini bosses, since they get to the bottom of the screen,
Yeah.
that's GG.
Exactly. The mini
That,
bosses, the mini bosses are like an actual threat because they're on a timer, whereas the bosses just throw these like
Yep.
shitty, easy attacks at you every few seconds.
No matter what my build
Yeah.
was, if I beat the second mini boss, it was like, oh cool, I beat the run.
Yep.
That always feels like kind of a pick 3 roguelike thing to me, because like you know what I thought the easiest boss in Hades 2 was? It was the last boss of the surface, because if I
Yeah.
was getting there, I had a crazy immortal
Yeah.
run.
That's definitely true for sure.
All right, Jordan and Ben, when's the last time you guys took a shit?
I'm gonna say last night. No, it was today for sure. Maybe like
Well, I
6 hours
definitely
ago.
took one today. That sounds
Did
more
you clock
recent
the
than I
toilet?
did. No, I did not.
Were you scared that
Jordan,
the toilet
go.
was gonna get
Jordan, you're going.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. I play like a lot of these style games, and I think that the only thing that stands out about this game versus like all the other kind of games like this is specifically like the base building stuff. But that didn't land for me in particular. But I do think that like the novelty of that being there was really cool. But yeah, it just kind of I think a lot of these games are just kind of like white noise games to me, but I still think it's like fine and like perfectly enjoyable, and I have nothing against them. So for me, it's just a straight 5 out of 10.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I definitely overshot, but
I did.
I'm really
I fucking knew it. I fucking knew it.
Yeah, one thing I will say is that
When
now that I know that what you rated this game as a 5 out of 10, that's actually a pretty good baseline for my future guesses for your rating.
Yeah, you have the average now.
Yeah, I'm also starting to realize when he doesn't say much about the game or ask many questions in the one note, it's going to be towards the center.
Dude,
Yeah.
I mean, this game, like literally playing it, it was like what Tom said, where like your brain was empty, but instead of it being empty, I was just like mad that I wasn't really engaging with it. So I was like, let's watch the Mario movie, shit like that.
Yeah, I knew where this was headed for you when on Saturday night I was like, "So did you finish Ball X Pit?" And you're like, "No, did you?" And the way you said it, I was like, "Oh, you hated this game."
Yeah, I didn't
You
hate it
didn't,
at
but
all.
you didn't hate it, but you were. I got points. That's all
I
I'll
think it's just
say.
I think it's just kind of bland, yeah.
All right, well Ben, I don't think I've taken a dump today, so go ahead.
All right. I remember right after I beat this game, in my mind, this shit was like a 10 out of 10. I was like falling in love with it. I even said like a couple times, that wasn't my rating, by the way. I'm just saying, right after I beat it, I thought in my mind it was a 10 out of 10. And I remember just being like really astounded by like a lot of the design decisions they make, like a lot of the minute stuff, like the way that they coded a lot of the things and the variety of things that they put in the game, like matchmaker and then the turn-based thing, and then they threw the idle game shit in my face. I was like, what the fuck? There was like so much design work that went into this. And I even said, like in Discord, I mentioned that like this game might be Slay the Spire tier, where like it just stays installed at all times, even if I'm not actively playing it, and I can like pick it up at any time. But as I've like gone away from being it, like as time has went on, I realized that the 30-hour playtime I put into it, which was a lot of hours for like the 1 week that I played it, I think that's where it's gonna get capped, where like I don't feel the incentive to open it again, or like ever again, basically. But I still really enjoyed the 30 hours that I spent in the the 1 week that I played it. So I still, it's definitely not a 10 out of 10. I would say that it is a, at least for me, a 9 out of 10. It's
Damn it.
still pretty damn good.
Son of a
Damn.
bitch.
I
Fuck.
hedged. I hedged.
I knew it. All right, I
Fucking
thought I knew it.
fucking who's Lila syndrome ass bullshit.
Yeah. Well, for me, oddly enough, I wasn't like too different from Ben in that sense. Where like I think at the start of this game probably was like a 5 or a 10 in terms of my enjoyment. Like before Matchmaker, man, this game is just kind of bland and slow and just like the actual progression towards the meta progression stuff was just slow and boring. But it just so consistently kept becoming more than I thought it was. Like it, like I can't understate like the surprise on my face when I got the idle game guy, when I started getting buildings that could send my guys out on their own adventures that are getting their own stuff. I love me a good idle game. You don't have to do a lot to make me like a game that's really just an idle game. And I don't know. I think I just enjoyed the moment to moment gameplay a lot more than everyone else. Like I don't know. I just found it like thoroughly engaging. I enjoyed the kind of brain shutty offy serotonin injecting, watching my balls fly around everywhere. Not in a non euphemism kind of way because that's not PC. But no, I mean this game was a fucking blast. I had a lot of fun. I think it innovated in the genre in a really fun way, and it just really surprised me. So I'm gonna give it a 9.5.
Okay, I get
Fuck! I
it.
reversed you and Ben.
Same score I gave Expedition 33. And that is accurate for my enjoyment level, I think.
There was actually one thing I want to mention about Matchmaker, because I remember I I was actually having a lot of fun before Matchmaker, like literally right before, because I thought the game was actually pretty challenging up to that point. And then I remember in Discord you mentioned it, and I was like, I'm gonna get it now. And when literally right after I got it, I started disliking the game a little bit because I felt like the power that you got made the game like so fucking easy, and then I had to play a few more levels for it to get like a little bit challenging again. And I was like, this is such like odd design that like I don't understand why they like mashed all these together. And then when I got the idle game thing, I was like, oh, like it. I started to see the harmony of the design. This is what they were building up
Hmm.
to, and that's when I
Yep.
decided to like love all of it, like even with its imperfections.
Yeah, and that's exactly how I felt. Where like I think actually a lot of the balance issues might revolve around Matchmaker, unfortunately, which is just more reason why I think it should have just been introduced after like the first or second zone or something like that. But yeah, fully agreed.
Yeah, that's one thing. That was one of the big things about this game that like really made it an 8 out of 10 for me was those ways that the like crazy like overhauls of the entire game kind of unfurled, because it's like the first one is Matchmaker, where it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then you get the turn-based shit, and then you get the idle shit, and it's like every single time it's like, what the fuck are they gonna do next? Because just the way that
Yeah,
they threw wrenches into the whole thing is like a, it was a very admirable way of making a game like this.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
and like even with a character like the shield guy that has the big paddle ball, like the original breakout shit, I thought he was just gonna be like kind of a meme character, and like he just has the ball and it's haha funny, but then you can actually fuck around with it and you can do some really broken shit. Like, did you guys play that character? Did you do the like fucking shotgun blast that you can do with him? It's really
I
fun.
him with the guy that like splits you, that gives you
Yes,
like two shots. That shit is so broken.
I did that too. That was awesome.
I don't think I ever did that because it made it hard to do the thing I was talking about. Like, do you know what I'm talking about when you get really close to an enemy and it just a
Yeah,
million
but you can.
times?
But when you have the guy that splits it, you just aim straight forward.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, now you have your own makeshift shotgun.
Yeah, that shit was great.
Yeah, I mean, I think if this game didn't have any of that stuff and was just like, hey, here's the base game Vampire Survivor shit, I think I'd be at like a 2, maybe a 2.5.
Yeah, that's fair. This game, if there was no matchmaker and beyond in this game, yeah, it would be a mess for sure.
Yeah.
I think my floor for this style of game is just much higher, which is fine.
I've played a lot of them. Like everyone that doesn't look like complete dog shit, I've probably played. Like,
I think I've only
sans
played
like
like
1 or 2.
4. I've played 20 Minutes Till Dawn.
That one's sick.
That one's pretty cool. Soulstone Survivors was
That
I
one's
actually had a
sick.
lot of time in that. And Vampire Survivors. Oh, and the one Diablo one. I can't remember what that's called.
Halls of
Halls of
Torment.
Torment.
Halls of Torment. Yeah, that
That
game's
one's cool.
fucking
That one's
awesome.
sick. Death Must Die is sick.
I
I
don't
just
like
haven't played a
Death
bad
Must
one then.
Die
Maybe that's why my floor is
because
high.
Death Must Die is what I actually like the least because I don't like the dodge mechanic. It just
That's
doesn't
fair.
feel good.
Rogue Genesia is a sick one, and it's only because like the game scaling keeps getting more and more and more insane.
What's it called?
Rogue
I've never heard of it,
Genesia.
but I just googled it.
Yeah, that game is because it's like there's a bunch of difficulties and shit, and then like the runs are like crazy. I think that game's really cool, but it's almost like ARPG cool. Like, if you don't like ARPGs, you might not like that game.
So now that we have all given our takes and stuff, we never asked the last meta question, which is, now that we are right around a month past TGA, do you feel like this game got enough recognition there?
I mean, not for Game Awards or anything, but I've heard nothing but praise from whenever people talk about this game.
Yeah, I
when it
mean
comes,
TGA
yeah.
This
specifically.
I think
this
that if
doesn't.
Megabonk got a nod, this game should have gotten a nod. But now that I
Yeah,
think about it,
yeah.
Megabonk also definitely shouldn't have gotten a nod, and maybe
I agree
not
with
this game
that.
either.
I didn't play
Like
Megabonk, so I can't.
this to me doesn't really strike me as a game that would ever get recognition at the Game Awards, and I don't really think it should, even though I liked it a lot. But yeah, if Megabonk is, then fucking
Didn't Vampire
seatbelts
Survivors
off, I
win
guess.
Best Indie?
I think so, yeah. Which, to be fair, is fine because it literally created a genre. So
Well,
I
yeah,
can't,
I
I
mean,
can't
that game
argue
Yeah.
against that.
Oh, huge. That game
Same
was
with
like second player
Balatro.
Among Us during COVID.
Yeah, that was during COVID. Holy moly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
remember playing that
Yeah, no,
shit.
so I don't think that this game. I don't know. I don't think it can win something like at the Game Awards, but I think it can win like a lot of niche awards around like the indie game stuff. And I don't know if it did, but it should have for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even necessarily talking about like should it have won this or that, but like it wasn't nominated for a single thing, right?
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's what I'm saying. We're like, if Megabonk was nominated, this should have been nominated, even if I don't think it should win anything. But since I also think that Megabonk should not have been nominated, this game also probably shouldn't be nominated either.
yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, I don't know why Megamon got nominated, but he pulled out, so like it's a moot point anyway. But yeah, I think this year was too strong for a game like this to show up. Personally,
Nah, that's fair.
also we didn't talk about it, but I thought the music of this game was actively bad, and it's one of the only games I've ever muted.
I muted
I was
it because
extremely
of
mid on
the
it.
idle game stuff, but yeah, I was not the biggest fan of like reintroducing dubstep stuff in 2026.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is one of those games where I think I probably heard the title track and muted the music and never
Yeah.
thought about it ever again.
I literally forgot about it during this whole thing because I played 80% of it with it off.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
It
wait
was
a second.
definitely. I listened to a lot of it because I happened to be tabbed into the game while I was at work and like doing something while I had my earbud in. So I heard a lot of the loops on loop, and despite that, can't remember any of them. So I think that says enough.
Yeah.
I think the
I-
problem with these kind of games too is that like the sound effects make it so hard to have like good music, I feel like, because like when like the majority of the sounds you're hearing are just like these fucking annoying like clicky clicks of like damage ticks and shit. It feels like it's hard to have music that drowns that out in a satisfying way. I don't know, maybe I'm making shit up.
I think you're trying to justify it, and I appreciate that because I don't want the person who made the soundtrack to feel bad, but it didn't land for me.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it's the worst shit ever, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
It's
I'm
just
listening.
forgettable. That's all it is.
I'm listening to one of the songs on YouTube right this very second, and I could have played the game with this music on. It's fine. I just chose not to, and I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, it is fine. All right, Sesh, what are we playing next week?
Yeah, so I picked I Am Your Beast, and I almost exclusively picked this game to see if Ben likes it so that I could pick Neon White in the future. Because I think this game is basically just Neon White light. And it's also
Yeah.
like you could press like the eject button on this game pretty easily because it's like quite short if you just like if you're like forget going for the super ranks or anything, because basically you can get like S ranks in every level if you do it quick enough or meet the objective. Where Neon White like kind of has like a story baked in, and like the levels are a little more intricate, and like you can actually like lose and shit, versus this game is kind of like it's basically like a popcorn speed run game if you want it to be. Like you could just get terrible times and just be like next level. So
Yo, real talk. I only did the first two levels, but I actually really like the way that they're presenting the story in these first two levels.
I think
Like
it's sick.
Neon White's story was really cool, but this game, I like the way that they're. Even if the story's not good, I like the way they're telling it.
Yeah. I mean,
I've-
first, and I think calling Neon White story very cool is an overstatement. That story is massively cringe in a lot of spots.
I don't remember. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I've only played like the Tutty and I think the level after that, and take of this what you will, but it's giving me strong vibes to Armored Core's 6 presentation of its story.
Never played that game.
I actually agree with that. I didn't beat Armored Core
very
6, but I
similar.
can understand what you're saying from what I did
It's
play
like-
of it.
Like the performances and stuff too. If it all feels very similar.
Yeah, and also Jordan, I don't know if you want me to comment on my impressions of this game so far.
I'm pretty sure it's negative for the reasons that you said, because like I think playing these games on controller is like impossible, but that's basically why I picked it. It was just like,
Yeah,
did they do
yeah,
a well
that's
enough
fair.
job?
I
with
just
controller?
I just remember when I saw this channel appear and I saw Thomas's first message in it. I didn't write this, but I was thinking of where I was like, for probably the very same reasons you think it's sick, my impression is that I'm not gonna like it.
That was Ball X Pit. Bye.
Adios.